Episode 1 of Pathways Plus is brought to you by Nick Kendall, Aria and Nate Schwartz, and supporters like you. For more information, go to www.pathwaystoenglish.org.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Pathways Plus. Today, we are going to have a math lesson, and for our math lesson today, our topic is times as many as. To introduce this topic, I'm going to give you a little story problem about my friends Wilmy and Lixone, and we're going to go to the whiteboard to explain this problem. So let's go there. So Wilmy has $3. So let's write that down. Wilmy has $3. We'll write Wilmy $3. And we don't know how much money Lixone has, but we do know that Lixone has 5 times as many dollars as Wilmy. So we're going to write down Lixone 5 times as many dollars. 5 times as many dollars. And so we want to figure out how much money does Lixone have. So how are we going to figure this out? Think about it. And I'm going to draw it out for you. So we're going to draw out Wilmy. We're going to draw Wilmy's money in a box, $3. We don't know how much money Lixone has, but we know he has 5 times as many dollars. So we're going to draw, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times as many dollars. So if Wilmy has $3, Lixone has 5 of those $3. So we're going to draw 5 of those $3. And how much money does Lixone have? So here's Wilmy. I'm going to do a W for Wilmy. Here's L for Lixone. How much money does Lixone have? Let's count it up. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So all of that together, we just added those up. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, and we get $15. So Lixone has $15. And when you did this problem, you might have thought of an easier way to do it. You might have not had to add up all those numbers. You might have been able to do it a lot quicker. And you use something called multiplication. And that is what times as many as, that is our focus. When we see the words times as many as, we know that we have to multiply. So you probably did this. You probably just took $3 and multiplied it by 5. And you knew that 3 times 5 was 15. So you knew that Lixone had $15. So that's great. Let's go to our learning target, and I want you to read this learning target out loud. Let's read it together. Ready? I am learning to interpret and solve multiplication comparisons. So these are some big words. So we're going to talk about what interpret means. You may know a little bit about sign language, and you may have seen this sign before. Someone hold up this sign. Do you know what that sign means? If you don't, it means I love you. So this means I love you, and you just interpreted what my hand meant. You saw that my hand, I put up this symbol, and you interpreted that I'm saying I love you. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have a math problem in front of us. It already has the answer in it, but we need to interpret what is this math problem saying. When we solve, we don't have the answer. We need to figure out the answer. So that's the difference between interpret and solve. Interpret, we just need to figure out what does it mean. Just like the I love you sign, we know that it means I love you. In a math problem, we need to know what does this math problem even mean. When we solve, we need to look for the answer. Our first vocabulary word is times as many as. And we're going to be talking about that phrase a lot because that is our lesson topic. The second keyword is multiply. And hopefully you know what multiply is, but if you don't, let's look at the whiteboard and let me just draw a multiplication sign. Here's a multiplication sign. When we look at this x, we have to interpret that that means multiplication or multiply. Just like right here, we knew that that sign meant 3 times 5. We needed to multiply. Our last vocabulary word is times. And times is really similar to multiply. It's just another word for multiply. Right here, times as many as, we did 3 times 5, or 3 multiply 5. It's the same thing. So we interpreted that this symbol meant multiply or times. So those are our key vocab words. Next, we're going to move on to some problems that we're going to interpret, and I'm going to help you through those. So these first few problems we're just going to interpret. We're not going to solve because it actually already has solved it for us. We just need to interpret, what does this problem even mean? So our first problem is 10 is 5 times as many as 2. So I'm going to teach you a few tricks that might help you interpret this problem. And what I mean by interpret is when we interpret it, we want to write what 10 is 5 times as many as 2 means. What does that even mean? So I'm going to model it for you first, okay? So 10 is 5 times as many as 2. When I hear is, I know that is means an equal sign. So I'm going to write a 10, and I know that is an equal sign. So 10 equals, that's an equal sign. 10 is 5 times as many as 2. So we're going to write our 5 times as many as. Anytime we hear times as many as, or anytime we see times as many as, I want you to put your arms up and make a multiplication sign, just like this. Okay, that is symbolizing you're going to multiply something. You're a superhero. You're times as many as, just like this. So you're doing 5 times as many as. That means we need to multiply. So let's do a multiplication sign. 5 times as many as what? 5 times as many as 2. 10 is 5 times as many as 2. The multiplication problem for this is 5 times 2 equals 10. We did it. We interpreted 10 is 5 times as many as 2. Let's try another one. Okay, our next problem we're going to interpret is 5 times as many as 3 is 15. Now this is worded a little bit differently because it doesn't have the number is first. Our last one said 10 is, but this time it kind of flip-flopped them around. So we have 5 times as many as 3 is 15. We're still going to do the same thing. So we have our number, we have our first number 5, and we're going to write that down. 5. 5 times as many as. So times as many as, we need to use a multiplication sign every single time we hear that. 5 times as many as what? 5 times as many as 3. Good job. We're going to write down the 3. And every time we hear is, we need to throw up an equal sign, just like this. So 5 times as many as 3 is, that means we need to write an equal sign, 15. So let's write that number, 15. And is that correct? What is 5 times 3? 15. Great job. So 5 times as many as 3 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Awesome job. Let's do another problem. So now we're moving on from interpreting to solving, but we're still going to have to interpret a little bit. So our first solving problem is 6 times as many as 3 is what? And when we see that question mark, let me just show you a question mark here. When you see that question mark, you know that it's asking you a question, what? And so that question mark means we need to solve the problem. So we just interpreted that question mark meant we have a problem to solve. Okay, so let's solve this problem. Let's start from the beginning. 6 times as many as. We have our number, our first number, 6. Times as many as. Remember to hold up your multiplication sign. We need to multiply, or times. Times as many as 3. We have our number 3. Is, when you hear is, what do? Put up your equal sign. What? And what means question mark? We don't know. Now we have our problem. 6 times, or multiply 3 is what? Or equals what? So we need to figure this out. And hopefully you know your multiplication by now. 6 times 3 is what? What is 6 times 3, everyone? 18. Hopefully you got that. 18. So we know 6 times as many as 3 is what? 18. Great job. Let's do one more solving problem with me. All right, our next problem says 40 is 8 times as many as what? So we have our problem. 40 is 8 times as many as what? And our what has a question mark behind it. So we know there's something that we don't know that we need to solve. So let's start from the beginning. 40, we need to write that number down. 40 is, every time you hear is, you know that you need to write an equal sign. Let's write an equal sign.
I think we're going to say probably don't put it all the way
Yeah,
down.
keep it out, yeah.
So
Keep
you
it.
can set it down.
Okay.
They're easy to buy. So,
Okay.
Yeah, stick it in there the first time and just leave it.
Yeah, okay, good idea.
Okay.
Okay. 40 is 8 times, we need to write our 8 times as many as. Every time we hear times as many as, we got to put up our multiplication sign. And let's write that down. Times as many as what? So this is what we don't know. So now our problem reads 40 equals 8 times what? So 8 times what equals 40? What do we have to multiply 8 by to get to 40? Maybe figure it out in your head. If you need to draw something out, draw it out. Pause the video if you need to figure it out. See if you can figure it out on your own. Okay, what did you guys come up with? Did you come up with the number 5? 40. So 40 is equal to 8 times 5. And if we read it in our problem, 40 is 8 times as many as 5. Is that true? Yes, because 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, now that we've modeled 4 together, we're going to have you do it a little more on your own. So now we're going to do 4 practice problems. So we need to solve these problems, and as we solve these problems, it will help you before you do your homework so you can keep moving along on the pathway. So our first one is 56 is 8 times as many as 7. So 56 is, why don't you try on your own, see if you can write this problem down on your own. Are we interpreting or solving in this problem? Yes, we're interpreting because there's no what question in it. We just need to write down what the problem is. What is this even saying? So we're going to interpret this problem. So why don't you go ahead and try to interpret 56 is 8 times as many as 7. Why don't you pause the video, try this problem, I'll watch you, and then unpause it when you think you have the answer. All right, time's up. This is what I did for the problem. So I did 56 is, I did an equal sign, 8 times as many as, I did a multiplication sign for times as many as 7. 56 equals 8 times 7. If you got it, awesome job. If you didn't, that's okay. We still have a few more problems to go through. Listen carefully. Maybe there's someone next to you that does know how to do it and they can help you out. Our next problem is 5 times as many as 6 is 30. Are we going to interpret or solve this one? Interpret. Awesome. So why don't you pause the video and try this on your own, and then we'll come back together and see if we get the same answer. Okay, what I did is I wrote 5, and then I saw times as many as, so I knew I needed to multiply. Times as many as 6 is, I saw that is, and I wrote an equal sign, 30. And I knew that was right because 5 times 6 is 30. That is true. If you got it, great job. Keep up the great work. If you didn't get it, that's okay. Maybe you need to go back a little bit and listen to the explanation. Maybe someone's next to you, they can keep helping you out. But maybe you're struggling with your multiplication. That's okay. Let's work on your multiplication facts. All right, this one says 14 is 2 times as many as what? So now are we interpreting or are we solving? Yeah, we're solving now. So let's try to solve this on your own, and then we're going to come back together and I'll help you solve it and we'll see if we got the same answer. So pause video now. Okay, so this is how I did this problem, and I knew I had to solve. So I wrote 14 because that's the first number that it gave me. And 14 is, so I wrote an equal sign for is. 2 times as many as what? And I did a question mark for what because I knew that's what I need to figure out. So 2 times what equals 14? I know 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 2 times 7 equals 14. So hopefully you got 14 equals 2 times 7. You interpreted it like this. If you didn't, that's okay. We'll keep working. If you did, awesome job. Let's keep going. All right, here's our last problem that we're going to practice together. 50 is how many times as many as 5? So pause the video, see if you can do it on your own, and then we'll come back together and see if we get the same answer. Okay, so I wrote 50 because that's our first number. And I saw the is, so I wrote an equal sign. Then I saw how many times as many. So I knew we wanted to know how many. This is what we don't know. So I'm going to put a box there to represent that we don't know this. Times as many as, multiplication as 5. So 50 equals what times 5? What do we have to multiply 5 by to get to 50? And I know in my head, because I know my multiplication facts, we need to multiply 10 times 5. Or I could have done 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and saw that I put up 10 fingers, so I need to do 5 times 10. Great job. If you got it, awesome. We're going to move on to homework now. If you didn't get it, maybe you need to go back and re-listen to some of the lesson, or maybe someone's around you that can help you out and help you catch up to where everyone else is. Now we're at our lab work time. So now you're going to take everything that we've learned throughout this lesson and you're going to practice on your own. You're going to go through these problems and I'll help you read the directions, and you're going to solve or interpret these problems. After, there'll be an answer key. And as you answer these and get them correct, you're continuing on your pathway. So the first two, you're going to write the multiplication statement or interpret. So you need to interpret numbers 1 and 2. Remember what we do when we interpret. Then our next 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you're going to solve them. So remember when we solve them, we are looking for an answer. Okay, so you're going to do numbers 1 through 7. After you've finished and everyone around you has finished, you can unpause and see if you got the answers right. We'll put up the answers on the next slide. So do all of these. Let's pause your video, do all of these problems, and once you're done, we'll put up the answers so you know if you got them right or not. All right, we are back and we have your answers. So go through all your problems and see if you got your answers right. Go through each of the problems, make sure you got it right. If you didn't, talk to someone next to you and see if they got it right. Maybe they know how to do it. So our learning target today was I am learning to interpret and solve multiplication comparison problems. If you feel like you totally get it, it was so easy, you passed with flying colors, you've got all the lab work correct, give yourself a 3, put a 3 up. If you feel like you're almost there but you're a little confused about a few things, put a 2 up. And if you feel like you are completely lost and you need a lot of help, that's okay, put a 1 up. Be honest with yourself about how you feel so you can get the help you need if you're not super comfortable with it. Great job. We've made a big step on our pathway. Keep up the great work and we'll see you next time.